and welcome. I am Chef Andrea, and I am coming to you from A Chef's Cooking Studio here in beautiful Northeast Florida. And welcome to our podcast, episode number 1 of Q&A with Chef A. I'm so excited to bring this podcast to you. And the podcast itself is going to be devoted to, always will be themed based on a question that's been sent in by one of you or one of our in-person customers here in Florida. So when I get a question submitted that gets me excited to share, I'll create a podcast to go with that. So I'll always do a podcast that's an answer to the question, and then I'll do a couple of follow-up ones that have maybe a little bit more detail about specific spices, techniques, history, science, etc. That way you can jump in and get as involved with these as you would like. Today's podcast, number 1, is all about curry. So this was very exciting for me. We had a question submitted from one of our customers, Stacy. Stacy has taken our full home chef series here at A Chef's Cooking Studio and is a great cook in her own right at home. And Stacy sent me a question that just got me really thinking about curries and got me pretty excited. So Stacy's question, Q&A with Chef A, let's start with the Q. Stacy's question was, how can I make the curry dishes that I'm preparing at home really pop? That was the question. How can I make them really pop? They're good, but I want them to just explode with flavor. And I thought that was a great question because I actually have a couple of good answers. So I have 3 answers for how to up the flavor component of something at home. I have a cheater answer. I have a ingredient thought answer, and then I have kind of a chefy answer, right? Like what would the professional chef maybe do? So I've got 3 options for Stacy to make her curry flavors pop at home. So are you a curry fan or are you not a curry fan? I'm going to do another episode that is about that, where for those of you who may be in camp, I don't know, or for those who are in camp, I'm sure I don't love curry, but everybody else seems to. So I wonder if I'm missing something. If you're in that camp, I'm going to run an episode. And if you're in camp, I love curry, stick around for that episode as well. I might call it Love or Hate, the Great Curry Debate. Yeah, I like that. So that'll be another episode. For this one, we're going to answer Stacy's question. What can I do to make the curry dishes that I'm making at home really pop? I've got 3 answers for you, Stacy. Here we go. Let's get cooking. How do I make them pop? First of all, I'm going to talk briefly about grocery store curry powders. And I went out and just bought like 3 tubs of the most basic curry powder I could find. And so by basic, what I mean is that the label just needed to say curry. That's all that I cared about. Just say curry. Doesn't matter what style, Jamaican, Indian, nothing specific. It just says curry. That's good enough for me. And I know that these are very basic curry powders because they have sort of a color to them that's very distinct, this sort of yellow that we're used to for a basic yellow curry powder. And the other thing that I do when I pick up a spice blend is I always take a peek and just sort of see what's going on ingredient-wise. And I see that even this very basic one lists some things that to me are just quintessential in the world of curry. One of the absolute fundamental base flavors of almost any style curry is going to be classic ground cumin. So ground cumin, you're probably familiar with that. If you make tacos at home or chili at home, then you've worked with ground cumin because it's also the base flavor of those 2 dishes. So ground cumin. So both of these yellow curry powders had a cumin pretty high up in the first maybe 3 to 4 ingredients. And then some aromatics. This guy was vague. This big tub here, he just says spices. It's a little vague. But he does mention cumin. And he mentions dehydrated onion, and he mentions turmeric. This guy actually listed a few things, some coriander, turmeric, and cumin, finding a theme there. But these are sort of as base as it gets. And so Stacy, to answer your question, the first thing that I will say, my easy answer to how to get these basic grocery store yellow curries to pop a bit more in your dishes at home, here's a very simple answer to that. A small frying pan. If you will take these grocery store blends that you've purchased and put them into a small, dry frying pan over medium to medium-low heat, and just move them around with a wooden spoon. So let's say you're making a curry that calls for a tablespoon of curry powder. You'll put that curry powder into a dry pan, and I might go up maybe a tablespoon plus a teaspoon, because you'll lose a little bit to the pan. Even though they're dry, they have some essential oils that might cause a little bit of sticking in that dry pan, and so up it by a little bit, Stacy. But you'll throw your spice into this dry pan, medium to medium-low heat, with a wooden spoon, just move it around. And suddenly you'll notice that it becomes very aromatic. And what's happening is those very oils I just mentioned, the essential oils that are in some of these spices, will start to release. And the thing about these grocery store curry powders is that the problem we have is we don't really know when, where, or how long ago they were packed, do we? I mean, I don't even really know how long they've been sitting at my grocery store, to be perfectly honest. So, and then certainly in our own home, this is definitely a Florida problem. You know, we live in the tropics here. Humidity is a major issue. And so spices that sit open, even well taken care of in our own home, start to lose some of their pop, some of their oomph. Moisture is what does that. It draws some of the essential oils kind of out of these spices. And so for places that are highly humid, like Florida, and that's called going stale. You've certainly heard that term. Our spices can go stale pretty quickly. But, you know, I don't even know how long they were at the grocery store, and I don't know where they were packed and how long were they open in that processing plant. So one thing we can do very simply. So answer number one, Stacy, that's super easy. Toast the spices that you have in a dry pan before you use them. It will help wake it up. So I think that's a pretty easy answer. I'm going to give you a second answer, Stacy, that's a little less simple, because it's going to require either online shopping or going in person to a good spice shop. But the next thing that I'm going to recommend is that rather than go with a big box brand from the grocery store, you simply up your shopping game and purchase from a spice company. We have a local spice company here, Spice and Tea Exchange, here in St. Augustine. They're wonderful, just a fantastic spice purveyor, and they have so many curry blends. They'll do these sort of small bags for you, so for one thing, you're not committed to a gargantuan tub that's going to go stale over time. So buy smaller amounts, right? And buy smaller amounts from really good spice companies, because what's happening here at Spice and Tea Exchange is that they are producing these blends on site, and they have such a high turnover because they are so popular and have such a big client base that those spices, these bags aren't sitting around for months on end. So whenever you buy from a smaller spice purveyor, you're not only getting maybe better quality spices to begin with, but fresher. I mean, they just were produced more recently than, say, a grocery store bottle. And the turnover's great, so they haven't been sitting around. So that's the next kind of easy answer, isn't it? Just up your shopping game, Stacy, and start buying better quality curry powders. There's that. Now, if you want to put answer 1 and 2 together, then you could toast up these small batch spices in one of these pans. Wow. Talk about a pop of flavor. That'll really wake them up, okay? So how do I get a pop of flavor? Toast those spices up. Make sure that you're buying really fresh, good quality spices. Up your shopping game a little bit. And then answer number 3, Stacy. Gets a little chefy, but I'm a chef. So that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Excuse me. This is cardamom seed. And so answer number 3, and this says cardamom seed on it. You see that? Cardamom. Answer number 3 is buy whole spices. That's exciting. You can see from the label, I also got this at Spice and Tea Exchange. So if you don't want to buy ground spices from them, you can buy whole spices from them. So for example, this grocery store blend told me that it had cardamom, coriander, cumin, and black pepper as the first few ingredients. I can buy all of those, Stacy, in their whole form. So cardamom seeds. Cardamom comes in pods, and so I usually don't buy the pods, I buy the seeds. The pods are green, and they have these little seeds in them. That's going to be tricky for you to break down at home, so just go for the whole cardamom seeds. But you'll love these. These are wonderful in so many things. They have this sort of citrusy back to them that just makes them beautiful in so many dishes. I love cardamom on pork, by the way, like on pork chops. Anyway, let's get focused here, Chef. Okay, so whole seeds like cardamom seed. You can buy whole coriander seed. You can buy whole cumin seed. So buy the whole seeds also from a good spice purveyor, and then get chefy. Now what you do is take these seeds and toast them up in your dry pan over medium heat until they start to become aromatic. Then cool them down, so move them onto a plate or something and cool them off. Then grind them yourself. Now we're getting chefy. Okay, how are you going to grind these seeds yourself? So a couple thoughts for you on that. One is that you can just buy a cheap spice grinder. What I mean is a cheap coffee grinder. So like a countertop $10 whiz electric coffee grinder. And I use that quite often for grinding spices. The little mini food processor, the little countertop guy, the truth is he's not going to get them ground as fine as you want them to be. The seeds and stuff are going to roll around that blade, so you really need to go with something that was meant like a coffee grinder. But label your coffee grinder spices and put a cord wrapped around it and tuck it under the counter, and make sure nobody accidentally makes themselves like a curry-backed coffee one morning. So keep it separate from your regular coffee grinder. Curry and coffee, those are two of my favorite things on earth. I wonder if those would work. So a little inexpensive spice grinder, label it as such, toast your whole spices, also purchased from a really good local resource, not big box, and cool them and grind them yourself and make your own curry powder blends. That's exciting. You could potentially take those toasted ground spices and put them into a really good quality pepper grinder. My pepper grinder, my mom gave me many years ago, and I just absolutely love it. If I think of the name of that one, I'll try to get it into the notes for you guys. But my pepper grinder has a dial on it, so I can decide if I'm going extremely coarse down to extremely fine. So if you had a really good pepper grinder, you could put those toasted cooled spices into the pepper grinder on super fine and just grind your own curry powder out that way as well. So how do I make them pop? I think the short answer is try not to stale your own. If you think you have, or you've bought big box that could have been stale when you bought it, warm them up, literally. Get them toasted in a pan, bring some of those essential oils out, and that will do a lot to really wake up that curry flavor. Easy answer number 2, buy better spices. That's super easy. Easy, chefy answer number 3, the chefy answer, buy whole spices, also from a very good source, and toast them and grind them yourself and make your own custom curries. So there you go, Stacy. Thank you for a wonderful question. It has triggered so many curry discussions in this kitchen. We've had a great time with it. My next podcast is going to be talking about what's in these mixes. We're going to do a little bit of a deep dive on the flavor components that make a curry. And that's what I call the love or hate the great curry debate. If you are a huge curry fan and you really want to know why, what's the thing in there that's just jazzing you up so that, one, you know which curries to order in restaurants, which are the, ones that really have what it is that you're loving, then check that video out. And then also, if you are not a curry fan, check that video out, because I'm going to make this deal with you. I'm not going to try to convince you to love curry if you don't. But if everybody book club keeps saying they want to go to the Indian restaurant and you're the only holdout who keeps saying, no, Italian, please. Watch the video on love or hate curry debate, because at least it might give you the language to defend yourself a little bit on why you're not a fan if you're not, okay? So flavor profile, love or hate the great curry debate. That'll be the next podcast. I hope we'll see you there. If you've just found us for the first time, welcome. We're really excited to launch this series for you guys. Please submit questions in the comments below. And you can also email me through the website at achefs.com, and we'll be happy to do more Q&As with Chef A, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next time. Have a delicious day.